Hey, what is going on? It is Josh. I am here with Dylan Hryciuk of Versa Films. And Dylan, we're talking about your new Kickstarter for Our Last Day as Kids. Can you tell me about the project?
Yeah, I've been a music video director for the past little while. I've had my own production company for 6 years now. And filmmaking has been my whole life since I was like in elementary school. That's when I kind of found the passion for it. And for some reason, despite doing this full time, I've been scared to make something of my own because my dream is to make feature films and stuff. And finally, after a project I did last summer, a music video for Census Fail, I finally was like, oh man, this is like what I want my short film to be. I've been working on it for so long. I was like, let's do it. Like after that production went so well, it was like, we have to make this film. And the short film is takes place in the mid 2000s. So when I was like an emo teen with like long swoopy hair, black and red, and all the colors and stuff. And half of the film is about just like me and a friend that I grew up with, and just us getting into trouble and kind of figuring out who we are as teens. And then the other half of the story is my brothers were both in a metalcore band, and I was the one brother who wasn't in it. It was like my two brothers were the screamer and the drummer, and I was like the kid brother with a camera who just admired them from afar. And I would film their jams. I would send invites to people on their MySpace and stuff. I was like kind of just tried to make myself involved and stuff because
definitely.
I wanted to be a part of what they were making. And the film is about that like little brother journey, admiring his two brothers as he wants them to become the Devil Wears Prada or something.
Yeah.
And it's about the heartbreak I went through when I saw my brother's band kind of crash and burn.
That is so interesting to see from the little brother's perspective, because usually in these kind of like biopics following a band, it's mostly on the band. So to see it from your perspective, you know, as a fan of the band, but also as the brother, and as you said, the brother that wasn't in the band, I think that's a great aspect on how it all goes through, because, you know, the breaking up of a band isn't just affecting the band members.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times these films are about like the bands that did make it or the bands that got huge and then crashed or whatever. And like to me, this is an ode to like all those bands that like maybe they had an impact on their local scene and they think they didn't make it, but it's like even though you didn't go all the way, like you still had impact on like someone like me or the kids going to the shows or that next kid who picked up the guitar because your music, you know what I mean? So it's an ode to just like, I don't know, all the like smaller people that made the music scene what it was.
Very cool. I know that when I was watching the Census Fail video, I said this is a movie. Like this is a movie that's just been condensed into a music video. And I know that on the Kickstarter you do mention that this was like the forming of the movie idea. Is any elements from the video going to it, or is it very separate?
So I had the concept before. I was like, I know I want to make this film. And when I got the Census Fail song and they reached out to me, I was like, oh, no way. Like I grew up with Census Fail. Like I thought someone was pranking me. And the music was such a throwback to that like mid 2000s sound. And so I pitched them this concept that was inspired by my film. So it was like me taking the baby steps to making my film. But it was like, it's going to have the same feeling, the way it's shot, the characters having fun, like the shopping cart stuff. The actor in that film is going to be one of the main characters in the film.
Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of it is going to cross over, but then obviously it's even more personal because it's like, well, there's me. There was a little inkling, like she has the little camcorder in that music video, but it'll be even more about that and more about like, I really want to capture like going to shows and like, just like the energy you get from like being among your peers. And like I remember being like a little emo kid and like I didn't fit at parties. I was a little weird at school, but when I went to shows I felt like I was like with my people, and I really want to capture like the essence of that.
Yeah, I feel like it's really going to speak to a lot of people. And I think a lot of people our age that went through that, you know, transition to the scene and going out to local shows and the MySpace era has not been documented enough. So definitely really looking forward to that. I know this is really going to speak to me and my group. And I'm sure a lot of people that watch these videos. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So the Kickstarter is live now?
Yeah, the Kickstarter's been live for a little bit. We've raised about $10,000. We're trying to raise another 20,000. It's a pretty big goal, but the film is going to be like 30 to 40 minutes. And if you've seen my music videos, they're like very involved. They have a lot of like locations and scenes and stuff. This is my 3-minute music video style expanded into like a 40-minute film.
Fantastic. I'm just so excited for it. I think that one of the hallmarks of your videos is the emotion and relationships, and in so many different ways. So, as when we're watching the Hurt You video, a lot of intimacy in those videos between relationship, but then I feel like you also nail relationships between parents, siblings in a lot of your videos, friendship. There seems to be a real theme of that throughout. Is that something that you focus on, or is that just a byproduct of how you direct and create?
I don't know. I think I'm so inspired by movies. So like if someone comes to me and they're like, "Oh, we want something that, maybe tells a little bit of a story." Like I'm writing full scripts for these music videos.
Yeah.
And I love like character. I love stuff that feels really authentic. So I'm trying to like pull from my own personal experiences, even though the Census Fail video is about like a younger girl. Well, I was inspired by like my first girlfriend in grade 8. And I was like, oh, this is a little bit of you and a little bit of the people I grew up with. And even a little bit of me is in there and whatever. And it's like, I feel like the stuff I gravitate towards in the work I love the most is the stuff that feels like so personal. And it kind of focuses on like the things that feel really universal and like little, but it feels so big to that person at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the scene in the Census Fail video when they're just like messing around and like in a shopping cart, like that's such a nothing moment, but for those kids it just feels like you were like king of the world.
Yeah, and everyone's done it as well. It's one of those moments that you watch, you can see how much it means to them, and then you remember, like, I remember those nights. They're just, yeah. So I think very, very relatable, which I guess you hear people say relatable a lot, but for me specifically, these speak to me, these videos and these concepts. So I'm very excited for it. So I'll say the Kickstarter is live now. There'll be a link down below. Dylan, thank you so much for having this time with me. We'll be watching your videos throughout this week on my channel, and we'll have this interview at the end to support this Kickstarter. I'm really excited about it. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me and for telling your audience about my project. I hope we can make it a reality.
Excellent. Thanks, Dylan.